All right, the Waterboy College Football Pregame Show, Week 12.
Yeah.
Week 12 doesn't seem possible. It's already been Week 12.
Yeah. 12.
Is it?
It doesn't make any sense actually. I feel like the season just started like 2 weeks ago.
Well, if that was true, Clemson would still be a good football team.
That's true. Hey, they won last night, though. In that very, very tough and nail-biting division known as the Atlantic Coast Conference.
I will
Good
say,
Lord.
Coach K came out and said the Big East and the ACC should combine, which doesn't really necessarily help out the football. But I was like, boy, that'd be a stud basketball conference.
Yeah, it would be fun in March. When I turn on college basketball. I don't know about the rest of the people out there, but yeah.
We're calling this week Week 12 thinning the herd because that's going to be a big part of what happens this week. A lot of big-time teams matched up this week. College football playoff rankings came out.
Yeah.
So those could take some drastic changes today. Hopefully the team that's at 10 just gets thumped today, but we'll get into that at some point. Games are going to break down today. Notre Dame, Pitt today, Iowa at USC, Oklahoma at Alabama, Texas at Georgia. But before we do that, we've got some storylines. Strez is on the road. This is his first time out of his own studio, so
yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
Speaking of not knowing what they're doing, I don't know what South Carolina is going to do at quarterback for the rest of this season. Lenore Sellers, according to reports, headed to the transfer portal. This is the part of the transfer portal that I cannot stand. Like, You should not be able to go, well, a season's over. I want to go somewhere else. That should just not be allowed. But
yeah,
that could be it. SEC Freshman of the Year, Heisman candidate at the beginning of the year, but this season has dipped dramatically. He's got 7 TDs, 5 interceptions, only 158 rushing yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. This is not. We had Lenore Sellers on our Heisman board at the beginning of the year, like most people did. So this is not the Lenore Sellers that we were expecting. But also, I think I'm going to be a little old school about it. I think what's best for Lenore Sellers is to have to battle out the rest of the season, and then if you want to transfer. But if you're Lenore Sellers, if you're his parents, a mentor maybe, this is a really good chance for you to learn a lot about yourself as a person and a player by having to battle out the rest of the season. And then if you want to go somewhere, go somewhere.
Yeah. I think that is kind of a tough spot too, because he's dealt with some injury this season. He's taken a lot of hits. I mean, he's been sacked 33 times this season, which is just comical through. I mean, how many games has he even played in this year? I mean, I know he missed several this season. Yeah. So, he's only got 201 passing attempts. He's completed almost 62% of his passes. This was probably a bigger shock to me at quarterback than Arch Manning was this season. I feel like I expected a lot more out of Lenora Sellers than what we're actually seeing. So it's just kind of a bummer the way things have gone with him there at South Carolina, and I mean, the transfer portal is there for a reason. It's there for people if they want to transfer somewhere, they can transfer somewhere. But at the end of the day, you like to see guys tough it out, especially if you're the starting quarterback. Yeah. It's just like it's a weird spot to put your team and your program in to say, yeah, I know it's only week 12. We're not bowl eligible, but I think I'm out of here when that portal window opens up in January or whenever it opens up.
Yeah, and I mean, whether he plays the rest of the season or not, you're basically sending a message to the rest of your team like, hey, well, this year's over. It's already gone. Nothing to play for. Might as well just start trying to figure out where you're going next. And, I don't want to be like the old guy on a park bench, but some of these guys are going to get drafted to the, late rounds. They're going to, oh man, that'll be the first real awakening they have in their football career when a college or a NFL coach is like, you're not ready to play at this level. Like, welcome to the practice squad.
Yeah. Kind of like Shedeur Sanders. A little bit of that scenario.
Yeah. I mean, when you're in the NFL, they really don't care who your last name is, how many stars were in your rivals. Yeah. They don't care. Like, we were talking to somebody about it last night, and I said, they just give Brock Purdy this giant, huge contract in San Francisco. I don't know if he's going to start.
Yeah, I mean, Mac Jones looks just fine. And I think any quarterback can be good in that system.
Yeah,
if we're being honest.
If you're in it, but in college, it's a little bit different. I get it. Like, it's a little bit different. But yeah, no, I completely agree. He has every physical tool it seems possible to be a fantastic college quarterback. Yeah, no, he's incredibly talented. It seems like a good guy. Seems like, really solid kid that, it's not a Shedeur thing where you're like, yeah, but like the Rolex on the field, like all the weird stuff. It's a like hardworking kid. Yeah. Yeah. So it's just a little rough. In South Carolina, I expected more out of South Carolina. I like Beamer ball. I think Shane Beamer's a really good offensive mind. It just has not worked for anybody in the state of South Carolina this year.
Yeah, 3-6 was not what I envisioned for this team, but I mean, you look through their losses. I mean, they lost to Vanderbilt, kind of a big loss, and then they lost by 9 to Mizzou. They lost by 10 to LSU. OU blew them out. They lose by 7 to Alabama. Lose by 16 to Ole Miss. So they've had kind of a tough schedule. One of the tougher schedules probably in the country. But at the same time, you would expect a team that has a Heisman frontrunner at quarterback to be able to pull out a couple of those. But they've all fallen away from them.
Yeah, it's just been not good. My cat, I do not know what's going on, but he is losing his mind. Something fell. I don't even know what it is. Yeah, no clue. I'll find out when I get up or get out of here in a little bit. All right, college football rankings. New CFP rankings were announced on Tuesday. Top 5 doesn't change. Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, Texas A&M 3, Alabama 4, Georgia 5. Tech all the way up to 6. Good for them.
Yeah.
Ole Miss 7, Oregon 8, Notre Dame 9, Texas 10, Oklahoma 11, BYU 12. Now, of course, the way that this works.
Yeah, the bracket is different.
Yeah, the 12, that is not the 12 teams that will be playing in the college football playoff if it were to happen today. First one out, I think, would be Oklahoma, if I'm not mistaken.
Oklahoma and who's that 12 spot?
BYU.
Yeah. Because it would be the 5 highest ranked conference champions. Doesn't matter what conference they come from. So it'll be USF, I think, would be in, and Georgia Tech.
Yeah, which Georgia Tech, a number 16 seed getting in, is just going to make everyone talk playoff expansion immediately after the year's over.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the ACC is so unpredictable. I mean, it's going to be whoever wins that conference.
Yeah.
If they're still ranked ahead of the MAC champion and the American and the Mountain West, that's kind of what it depends on. Obviously, the Big Ten champion is going to be ranked in the top 5. The SEC champion is going to be ranked in the top 5. The Big 12 champion is probably going to be ranked in the top 5. Then it just comes down to, can the ACC champion beat out the American or the MAC or Conference USA? Like, there's so many teams out there right now that could potentially be ranked higher than, because the ACC is just like it's eating itself.
Yeah, and if Notre Dame with 2 losses gets in, a BYU misses it with 1 loss, there's going to be a lot of people upset there. If a Georgia Tech with 1 loss gets in a really bad conference, but a BYU is bounced out, that's going to make a lot of people really upset. Obviously, Louisville losing last night, we don't have to worry about it there. Iowa, even on this list at 6-3, even at 21, just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I think Iowa's a good football team. I mean, they have a 1-point loss to Oregon, a 5-point loss to Indiana, and then they lost their rivalry game that was like week 2 against Iowa State at Iowa State. So their schedule, they haven't really had any big wins, but they've had good losses, and when you start getting to those 3-loss teams, you have to start talking about who'd you lose to, and I do think there's a potential, if Alabama drops today or later this month, if they drop one, they'll have 2 losses, and I think that loss to Florida State in week 1 is going to come back to bite them. Potentially. Yeah. Potentially.
I think that's a big one. I also think Notre Dame Pitt today, which is already going to be a big game because those 2 teams hate each other.
Yeah.
Like those fan bases don't like each other. There's a lot of history. In fact, did you see that? I think Pitt is second most NFL Hall of Famers that are alums.
Really?
Is that not wild? Pitt.
That's hard to imagine.
Like, we got time. Let's NFL Hall of Famers from Pitt. I think they have like somebody that's on the like voting right now or something, and that was what let's see here. No, Pitt from Pittsburgh. No, Pitt.
I couldn't even tell you a Hall of Famer Pitt Panther. I couldn't tell you.
Are you ready for it? This is a list of the guys in the NFL Hall of Fame from Pitt. Some of these I'm not going to know. Jimbo Covert, not going to know that name. Mike Ditka.
He went to Pitt.
Tony Dorsett. Ricky Jackson. Dan Marino. Curtis Martin. Darrell Revis. Joe
Curtis
Schmidt.
Martin went to Pitt? Wow.
Like,
wow.
They have 10.
The next big Pitt Hall of Famer is going to be Kenny Pickett, baby.
Well,
just kidding.
Here's what's crazy. Aaron Donald from Pitt, he's going to be a Hall of Famer when that comes up.
I actually didn't know that. Yeah, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Probably one of the most dominant D tackles we've ever seen.
So there's a really good shot. They're going to have it by the time, because there's a couple other guys that are up that people are saying are shoo-ins. There's a really good chance they're going to have 13 or 14, which would put them right behind. That would put them even with Notre Dame. That would put them 2 ahead of Ohio State. Dude, that's from a university that, like, no one is ever.
No historical success. Just a bunch of dogs. That's crazy. I did not know that.
If you said you got Mike Ditka, Dan Marino, Darrell Revis, and Tony Dorsett, there are a lot of schools that would have a hard time coming up with 4 names bigger from their school.
Absolutely. I mean, Darrell Revis had a nickname.
Yeah.
Tony Dorsett is one of the best to ever do it. Like, that's great. I did not know that about Pitt. I apologize, Pitt. I was not aware of your game.
I'm not saying they're college football blue blood, but I'm saying, like, we gotta, like, apparently we need to show some Pitt some love, and we will. We're gonna break that game down here in a minute. Before we start talking games, and then second hour we're gonna start picking games. Bill Belichick says he is staying in college football. As soon as this Giants job came open, I knew this was the first thing that was going to be on Twitter. Like, Bill going back to the Giants. He says that he's not interested. I want to make a case that Bill should get interested in going back to the NFL. I do not think the Bill Belichick project works in college football.
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen anything that makes you think, oh yeah, this guy can coach college football?
No, I mean, college football is such a different beast from the NFL. Like, there's no offseason.
None.
And it's gotten worse with the advent of NIL and transfer portal. You have no days off. I mean, if by any stretch of the word in the next 3 years, if UNC makes it into the postseason, into the college football playoff, he's going to have to be game planning and then traveling and playing a game while also trying to navigate the transfer portal and see if he can land a top-tier transfer while also making sure that he's still able to sign any 4 or 5-star players that he's been recruiting. Like, that's just too much. And I just don't think Bill, I mean, how old is Bill? 71?
Yeah. And, you know, I know there was a lot of buzz at the beginning of the year. Bill Belichick, North Carolina, big thing. They were going to do a Hard Knocks college style. Then, of course,
that got shut down real quick.
When they realized who his girlfriend was and how involved she was, North Carolina probably was like, nah, let's not do that, because we got a problem with her hanging around the building too much anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm him, I understand maybe not the Giants. Like, that's a fun mess to have to go clean up. But like, Bill is working harder now as a college football coach than he ever had to as an NFL head coach.
Oh, 100%.
Like that's, and he doesn't have, you know, in the NFL, even if the schedule was similar, you're at least going into it every year going, I got my quarterback, I got my same offensive line I've had since Moses, like I got everything. College, yeah, like you're just turning roster over every year.
Yeah. I was talking, I didn't realize that Miller Moss was the quarterback at Louisville this year.
Yeah.
That was my dad and I and my mom, we were watching that game last night, and I was like, wait a second. I've been watching Louisville. I've probably watched 4 of their games this season, and I just realized that Miller Moss was their quarterback. And my dad goes, where was he at last year? I was like, he was at USC. Like I can't keep track. And I'm, you know, we talk about college football every single week for about 5 hours, you know, every single week. So it's just it's crazy. And to have to do that as a head coach while also actually coaching your team, and then also making sure that your players are getting paid a proper amount of money so that they'll stay happy and stay in town. Like, it's just, yeah, college coaching is just so.
I don't know how head coaches keep their own players straight. I don't know how a kid can be on campus for 90 days and are you supposed to know like anything about them at all?
Well, you see them for 35 plus hours a week. You know, they're in meetings, they're in the training room, they're in the weight room, they're on the practice field for, you know, anywhere from 30 to 35 hours a week. So, I mean, I would assume at that point, surely you've got them figured out by then. And that's probably what separates like the best coaches, the Kirby Smarts, the Ryan Days, you know, from the rest of the head coaches out there that are really good at being able to do that. And, you know, if you build something, you'll have players that want to stay, right? You won't have players that want to bounce. You won't have players that are going to want to go try to go somewhere else. You know, and I think Bill Belichick is completely capable of being that type of head coach. It's just going to take a little bit more effort than it did when he was in New England, because he had, you know, one of the greatest quarterbacks. Some say he is the greatest quarterback of all time, you know. Probably the best tight end ever. You know, his defense was always top 5 defense. It's not quite the same when you're at North Carolina for football.
No, I mean, I was, you know, we don't have a bunch of people in here this morning, so not ruining anything for everybody, but we're starting the college basketball show. So, and as you can tell, I've got a lot of screens in here now, which, by the way, give me a second. I got a bone to pick with ESPN this morning. And I'm watching college basketball last night. We're early in college basketball season. And I'm watching, I can't remember if I was watching North Carolina last night or I had a North Carolina game on, but I've DVR'd, like, this is the worst part of having decided to do a college basketball show. There's like 90 games a week.
Yeah.
Godspeed. Oh, it's so dumb. I'm watching a North Carolina game and I'm like, feels like North Carolina fans have already decided to move right into basketball season.
pretty easy shift to make.
Yeah, place is rocking, it's loud, it's full. I'm like, I bet Saturday not that full. Oh yeah, my bone to pick with ESPN this morning. I finally did I send you a text that I said, hey, I finally made the switch?
Did you go to Hulu?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Not happy about it. I don't like the way it's set up. I don't have the 4 screens like I do on YouTube. Their whole interface is weird and complicated, and I don't like it. And then last night, I'm driving to get dinner, and tweet comes up on my phone.
Yep.
YouTube TV and Disney have come to an agreement, and I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I'm too late in this new subscription with Hulu to get a refund.
Yep.
My YouTube TV subscription expired on the 10th. I don't feel like shelling out the $90 to reactivate that after I spent $70 to start. So I have to spend the rest of this month now watching Hulu TV, and I'm not happy about it at all.
Yeah, the only benefit that I see about it, I don't know if you got the bundle with it, but we got the Hulu Plus Live TV, ESPN Unlimited, and Disney Plus. My parents, and we're like sharing the thing. Shh, don't tell. I know YouTube's listening to us, but and it's kind of nice, So I mean, when you're on ESPN, you can do like the multi-screen, but then while you're on ESPN, you can't watch the CBS or the Fox or the NBC games. So kind of, but also at the same time, like you're saving $30 a month if you do it that way.
Yeah, and we were kind of in a rock and a hard place anyway, because with Verizon we get Disney and ESPN and Hulu for free, but not the ESPN Unlimited. So it really wasn't like I was like doing the math, and I'm like, so I'm gonna. Now, Brittany did say, she's like, you cannot add no more TVs in this room. So,
yeah, all those pictures that you sent me of every single screen that you've got in that room is ridiculous. And that's coming from a guy who loves TVs.
Yeah.
I was like, geez.
Well, because like right above the one that's the big one over my shoulder, I measured it and I could fit 3 20 inches right above it. And I was like, this is where you're a problem. Like when you're measuring going, I think I could squeeze 3 20-inch TVs above, this is when you know you have a problem.
Hey, the first step at solving a problem is admitting that there is one. So good on you.
Yeah. So, and I don't know, YouTube may never get my money back. I haven't decided. All right. Let's walk through some of these games, some storylines of these games. Number 9, Notre Dame at number 22, Pitt. This is a super interesting game, obviously, for the college football playoff implications, because we've got Notre Dame sitting at 9 at 7-2. And a couple of weeks ago, we were basically saying Notre Dame doesn't have anything left on their schedule. And then, how things change, because Pitt is sitting at number 22 and a good football team. Like, good football team. Now, they've got some losses that they probably don't like, which is fine. But they beat very beginning in beginning of October. They beat Florida State, which looked really good. Now they lost to Louisville at the beginning of the season. At the time, that seemed like a bad loss. It doesn't look like such a bad loss right now, because Louisville's a pretty good football team.
Well, they'll be out of the top 25 on Tuesday.
Right. They beat the ever-loving dog piss out of North Carolina State, beat Syracuse, beat Boston College, lost to West Virginia. So their 2 losses are really early in the season, which is probably good.
When it's not just about who you lose to, but it's also when you lose those games. I think that's one thing that the committee has shown us in their first 2 weeks of their rankings, kind of where they put these teams. It's really about when you lose those games, and not just that you lost them and who they were. So I think, it's better to lose early if you want to lose. I think right now, if you lose a game, especially if you lose a game and look bad, you're going to get punished by the committee. So It's best to get those out of the way as quickly as possible.
And they got a pretty tough stretch. They got to play Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, and Miami to round out their season.
That's a rough ending to a season.
It's like, hey, coach, you got a rough start to the year. You really battled back. Congratulations. You got to play Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, and Miami.
They could win that Miami game. I mean,
yeah, I think
Miami hasn't played well away from home in the month of November historically. So,
yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that they could. They're sitting at 4th in the ACC conference right now. ACC conference, a little bit of a mess. All of the top 4 teams in conference play are 5-1.
Yeah,
and then Georgia Tech overall 8-1, Virginia 8-2, SMU 7-3. It's so hilarious because the quote unquote powerhouses of the ACC. One of them is 5-5.
Yeah, ass Clemson. I'm so glad that they're so bad this year. I am so glad that they suck.
Florida State sitting at like bottom of the conference at 4-5.
1-5 against ACC opponents. That's just insane.
Yeah, I mean,
but they got that win over Bama, which just like makes no sense at all in my brain.
Well, and then I was watching somebody yesterday that was breaking down the rest of the schedules left for the ACC teams and making a legitimate argument that based on what is left for some of these teams to play and what it's like, what their overall record might be, Duke might shake out to be playing for an ACC championship somehow, because Georgia Tech's got to play Pitt, and then Georgia Tech's got to play Georgia. Like, congratulations, Georgia Tech. Great season. You get to, as your last game on a Friday when the entire nation will be watching, you get to play Georgia.
Hey, don't sleep on Georgia Tech in that Georgia game, though. I think this is a different Georgia Tech team. I think Haynes King has been playing fantastic. I feel like he should be getting some Heisman love, honestly.
I agree.
You know, he should be getting some Heisman love, and I think Georgia Tech, I think they make that a game, especially since it's going to be, you know, quote unquote neutral site. They're going to be playing that game in Atlanta, right? So, you know, who knows? If Georgia Tech goes out there and beats Georgia, college football playoff pandemonium, baby. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I am too. And Notre Dame, you know, if you're looking at Notre Dame's schedule, this is really the only game that they need to worry about. If Notre Dame wins today, they are probably teeing themselves a spot in the college football playoff.
Yeah, they're gonna land. They'll land at like the 7 seed, 7 seed. They'll land somewhere around there.
Which, by the way, are you seeing everybody posting? Because you know, I guess, and I forgot that college basketball programs do this, but they'll have like
elementary nights.
Yeah, and
those are.
They're still
those are so funny.
The other night, girls team and shooting a free throw, of course, to hit 6, and the place goes bonkers. And I'm
it was nuts. The coach came off the bench and did the.
Yeah, I don't know what it means. I don't understand.
Nobody does.
I don't get it, but
just ride the vibes, dude. That's all it's about.
I guess so. But yeah, Notre Dame, if they win today, they've just got to play Syracuse and Stanford, which I expected more out of Andrew Luck. Like when he decided to get involved at Stanford, I thought, okay, they're bad.
Give him a year or two. You know, he needs some time. You know, he's going to build a roster. I fully anticipate Stanford be back on the national scene within, by 27.
I mean, it's got to be an incredibly hard job to try to be a GM at an Ivy League.
Whoa. Pete Thamel. James Franklin, Virginia Tech, in early talks about him becoming football team's next head coach. Feels like we've been talking about that for about 3 weeks now.
And then there's a bunch of guys in Fayetteville that are like, I got good sources. James Franklin to Arkansas. I'm like, what is going on? Why is everybody?
James Franklin is not SEC.
No. I really thought. I mean, I think that he needs to get that. I think he's
Virginia Tech. We talked about it, in past videos. Virginia Tech is a perfect spot for James Franklin. Take a step back, go to somewhere with a rich tradition, go to somewhere with an incredibly involved fan base.
Yep.
And enjoy walking into every home game to Enter Sandman. One of the best entrances in college football. Just enjoy it.
And they
win some games.
Wrap their arms around him and love him.
Yes, he needs it.
He's the type of guy, and I don't mean this to sound the way that it sounds. There are some guys who, when they get fired for not doing a good job, I'm like, doesn't bother me. Like, they don't and Brian Kelly notwithstanding, because I think that guy is a jerk.
Yeah, that guy sucks.
James Franklin, I think, might be one of the nicest guys coaching college football. The nicest.
And it's not like he wasn't good as a head coach, right? We talked about it in the video that we had about him getting fired, right? He was 3 plays away from being in the national championship last season. You know, like that was what, 10 months ago? January 20th was the national championship game. You know, like it was not that long ago, and James Franklin was almost in it. And now he's like about to maybe probably get hired by Virginia Tech. Just wild. Hey, college football takes no prisoners, shows no mercy.
Listen, James Franklin, make it happen. I think you will absolutely love and enjoy coaching in Blacksburg. I think you will love it. I think it will be a ton of fun. I think he'll be shocked at how plugged in that fan base is. And, you know, somebody posted a graphic yesterday that said the Chicago Bears fired Lovie Smith after 3 straight seasons of winning 10 games. And since then have not had and you're like, to win 10 games in Chicago and they'll build you a statue. This happened when Nebraska let Bo Pelini go, where they were like, we can do better. It's like, well, sometimes you can't.
Grass ain't always greener. That was the conversation that I was having with a lot of Ohio State fans last year after, you know, Ryan Day lost the game for the 4th season in a row. There was, you know, a pretty decently sized minority of the Ohio State, like Buckeye Nation, that wanted him gone. And I'm like, who are you going to replace Ryan Day with that is going to be able to coach as well as Ryan Day?
But college football fans will convince themselves that it wasn't as good when, like I don't know if you've seen it, but on YouTube, the Lincoln Riley short has started to like make the rounds again on our channel. And OU fans are down there like, he was trending down when he left. It wasn't that good. And I'm like, what are we talking about? You played in 3 straight college football playoffs. Trophies. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's just wild. I mean, OU really hasn't. I mean, since Lane Kiffin was there, they really haven't had the quarterback.
No.
That they had while he was there.
No, and Brent had that 10-3 year that was like a fluke.
Yeah.
Where they won a bunch of close games and a really good schedule, and then this year. So yeah, it before, like Penn State, before you think the next guy's just going to walk in and he's just going to fix everything, it doesn't happen like that. Biggest game of the day, probably for college football implications. And I got to tell you, nothing is going to make me now. If everything works out, I will be live streaming another game during this game. So it's going to be a little weird for me today. I love that the Oklahoma Sooners are now one of the few teams that gets to play spoiler to the entire SEC's like top 5.
You get to play spoiler, but also like you get to play for a chance for a playoff berth. Like it's the best of both worlds, which is like a really weird spot to be in. But when you're in that like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 area, like you're playing spoiler, but you're also playing for a shot to make it in, you know? So this is going to be, looking at this, Bama's a 6.5 point favorite at home. That seems crazy.
Yeah. And, we'll break this down, but I dealt with somebody yesterday. I said, if Oklahoma wins this game, you're going to watch all the coaches and players sprint to the locker room because the Texas-Georgia game kicks off at 6:30. And they're going to
just to see what happens
to this game. Like, hey, if we win today and Texas loses, and nothing would make me happier than for Oklahoma to make it into the college football playoff and Texas not, just to hear Texas fans' brain explode when they're like, but we beat you. It's like,
yeah, they definitely do feel like one of those fan bases that would be like, well, it doesn't count because you didn't beat us. I'm like, oh, well.
Yes, they are one of those fan bases.
Big deal.
We played them twice a couple of years ago, once regular season, once Big 12, and I think we lost the regular season, won the Big 12, and that's all they talked about. Like, but we beat you. It's like, okay, whatever. But yeah, Oklahoma 7-2, Alabama 8-1. For me, what makes this game really interesting, really, really interesting. The one thing that teams that have had success against Alabama, now they haven't beat them necessarily, but they've had some success against them, is if you can speed Ty Simpson up.
Yeah.
If you can get a lot of pressure on him, you can make him have to make quick reads and get the ball out really fast. And as far as the SEC is concerned, there is no, and in some categories, there's no team better in America at making a quarterback have to get the ball out really fast than what Oklahoma's defensive front and their linebacking core can do.
Yeah. They're one of the better teams in quick pressure rates, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably been what I've been most excited this season watching Oklahoma is with Ben Arbuckle calling the offense. It's really let Brent ipso facto be the thing that Brent Venables is the best at, which is calling defense. Like, Brent doesn't have to worry about nothing but calling defense, and the blitz packages that they've been able to put together. We were talking about, or I was at least talking about, R. Mason Thomas back in July, and then he gets one of the craziest fumble recoveries, returns for a touchdown, and everyone's like, who's this R. Mason Thomas guy? And I was like, if you are paying attention to guys like McShay and Klatt,
yeah,
they were talking about him last year.
Yeah.
That they were like, hey, Oklahoma got this guy. He's going to be a first-round draft pick. And at the time, he wasn't even on people's board for, top 3 defensive player taken in the draft. He's shot all the way up to number 2 behind some guys at Ohio State. So it's really an interesting matchup. I'm not, as a fan of Oklahoma, I'm not really sure. I'm still trying to figure out the quarterback thing for us. Because at the beginning of the season, John Mateer, I thought we're about to watch a historic Heisman run.
Yeah, because he was giving off those vibes early on.
Yeah, he's got all that stuff that Heisman voters like. He's got swag. He's a little bit of a dangerous guy. He's got this like aura thing. And I thought we were watching, something special. Then we get the hand injury. Now he's played better as the weeks past the hand injury have gone.
Yeah.
But they haven't gotten back to what that offense looked like at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
3-2 in conference play, 7-2 overall. I think a lot of people realize Oklahoma has trouble in the running game if he's not running the football. And so that has slowed that offense down considerably.
Which I think is going to be a major part of their game plan today.
Yeah.
Because, I think about how, Vanderbilt played. They played Bama really closely. And I think Diego Pavia is just like a poor man's John Mateer. If we're comparing apples to apples here, two running quarterbacks that also throw the ball well, I would probably take John Mateer over Diego Pavia. And Diego Pavia gave that Bama defense fits. Obviously they made more stops than Vanderbilt's defense did, which, is a different part of the conversation. But I think if OU has some of the good design quarterback runs and they're able to build in some of the pass game off of that going into this week, I do think the OU has a legitimate chance in this game. And, if they do pull it off, they do, pull off this upset, there's no talent. Because I think, if OU makes it into the playoff, defense and running games travel really well in the postseason. And I mean, OU's got one of the better defenses in the country, and if they can get their running game going, which we thought it was going to be one of the better running offenses at the beginning of the season, I think they have the talent to do it. The question is what can they just do it? I think they have a good opportunity of actually really getting this thing going and pulling this upset off today, and then maybe making a run in the playoff. But it's all going to come down to what happens today. And like you said, can they slow down Ty Simpson? this is the chance for, Ty Simpson is looking at this game like I can go win the Heisman Trophy today.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree.
25 touchdowns to 1 interception, like 2,400 passing yards. He's having an incredible season.
Yeah, and the only thing that when I look at it that gives Oklahoma some hope is they have given up 15 sacks.
Yeah.
So they are obviously like any of the other blue bloods, including yours. We've started to see where the transfer portal and that movement with roster has hurt everybody is in the trenches. Like the blue bloods aren't quite as deep at offensive line as they would like to be. Every team is got this problem where it used to be if you had a guard or somebody that got hurt who's going to sit out a couple games, you were like, well, no big deal. We probably got a 4-star sitting behind him. You might not. You might have like a 3-star, and your 4-star may have decided to go to Minnesota. Like it's some of that movement. So 15 sacks on the season is a lot. He does move around quite a bit.
3 of them came against Florida State. And I would probably compare OU's pass rush to early season Florida State.
Yeah, it's a good comp. Yeah, it's a good comp.
They can get after him, really shorten his time to throw. Because when you're able to get pressure on him quickly, you're not letting Ryan Williams run down the field and get wide open for a 57-yard bomb. If you could slow him down, and then they've got that other guy, I forget what number he is, number 11, I think. Satania. Or no, that's at OU. The Bernard kid. I mean, they've got two good solid wide receivers. So if you can limit Ty Simpson's ability to, throw the ball down the field, and make them keep things in front of them, then I think you can take care of business in this game. But at the same time, it's like Alabama, I think, is probably the best team in the SEC right now. So, even better than A&M. I think Alabama just looks different than the rest of these teams. So if OU goes out and wins it, it's going to be a real win. That's you have to respect that win.
Yeah, and I'm looking at because I was trying to think, okay, what's another team that plays fast on defense? Now, obviously, when LSU played them, they didn't have Whit Weeks, which is a huge key to LSU's entire defense. That guy's the quarterback on the field for the defense.
Yeah. When he's not vomiting on the field.
Yeah, which is so weird. Most guys.
Okay, 1 time is cool. 3 times, drink some water, dude. What are you drinking during the week? Just straight sweet tea? I don't blame him.
Full disclosure, I threw up before every game I ever played at every level of basketball. But I've never had been on a court and been like, I'm going to get sick. I've never seen it.
Right before a game or right before a play.
That's weird. But if I'm looking at, LSU plays really fast. Alabama had 344 total yards on them. They only had 56 rushing yards. Third downs, they were 4 for 13 and 1 for 2 on fourth down. They total of 62 plays. They did give up a sack, and they punted 3 times and had a fumble. Now, I'm not saying LSU should have won that game, but if LSU had half of an offense, the game was a lot closer than
if Garrett Nussmeier was half the player we expected him to be this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And LSU total yards only at 232 total yards. They outrush Alabama, but Oklahoma hasn't shown that. I think they've got some good running backs. They just haven't been able to put 4 quarters of really good running football together in a complete game. But Oklahoma's got the more experienced quarterback. They're playing to get in the college football playoff, and so yes, they have a lot to play for, but they don't have quite as much to play for as Alabama does.
No.
If you get in the college football playoff this year as Oklahoma, what Brent is doing is probably giving himself another 2 years at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Alabama fans, which we have another YouTube short that's been making the rounds about me making the case that Kellen DeBoer is great. We still got Alabama fans in the comments of that don't like him.
He ain't Nick Saban.
Like, I'm so sick of hearing. They're like, Nick's last year, I didn't like the team either. Like, okay, go kick rocks. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
I think that those fans just don't like the state of college football. I think that's all it is. Has nothing to do with who's coaching their favorite team. I think it's more or less just like, I don't like the fact that players can get paid now. I don't like the fact that players can go wherever they want, whenever they want now. You know, and you just got to get with it. Just adjust to the times. Because we've said it before over and over and over again. College football has never been better.
Yeah, and it's a pendulum swing correction for an injustice that happened for decade upon decade.
Yeah. Justice for Reggie Bush. Justice for Eric Dickerson. You know, justice for the 2010 Ohio State Buckeyes who got free tattoos because they sold their own gold pants from beating Michigan. You know, justice for all these teams.
Yeah, I mean, people still talk trash about Johnny Manziel, and I'm like, I don't care how much money Johnny Manziel made at A&M. It was not a drop in the bucket to the amount of money Johnny Manziel made A&M.
Very true. Which, by the way, we need to get Money Manziel on the show. That's what we need to do.
I would love it. Both those teams, Oklahoma, as far as what's left on their schedule, they got, of course, playing Alabama today. Then they got to play Missouri and LSU. Those are both at home. Missouri, tough team. That they are a team that likes to play spoiler. And I don't know if there's a team in the country that loves playing spoiler more than Missouri. Alabama.
Eli Drinkowitz, that's just what he does.
Oh man, he loves it. Alabama playing the juggernaut next week of Eastern Illinois.
Did you see that text I sent you of who the top 3 SEC teams all play in Week 13?
That's so dumb.
Embarrassing.
And then you got the Iron Bowl at the end of the year. I'm trying to figure out where was Oklahoma's gimme? Where was that on the schedule in November? We didn't have one. We played Kent State in October. So I guess we got ours out. Hey, Josie, can we do a better job here? If we're going to play like Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, and LSU to round out the season, can we squeeze that Kent State in between the Tennessee and Alabama game?
Well, you messed up by scheduling Michigan Week 2.
Which we don't need. We don't need this. Like, I keep telling people, we're like, we schedule this big out of conference. I'm like, and it doesn't help us at all. Doesn't help us. No one's going, but they're look at them scheduling Michigan. It's like it's not helping.
Yeah, no one cares that Ohio State beat Texas Week 1. Like when you watch any of these college football playoff rankings, it's so funny. They're like, well, who has Ohio State played? They beat Texas Week 1. Texas is a top 10 football team. What are we talking about?
Yeah, which if you're Ohio State and you look at your schedule and you look at it and go, Big Ten, the schedule that we got from the Big Ten is a little weak.
One of the weakest Big Ten schedules the Buckeyes have had in recent memory.
But if you look at the beginning of the year and you go, but they're playing Texas, it's not their fault that Texas ends up not being near the team they were last year.
It's not Ohio State's fault that Penn State ended up not being the same Penn State that we've seen the last 5 years. Sue us. Sorry, not everyone can line up every Saturday and beat who's lined up across from them week in and week out, regardless of who's on the field and who's on the sideline. Like, I'm at the point now where I'm just like, you guys are bozos. This is college football. At the end of the day, talent beats less talent, regardless of who the coach is. Like especially when we get into November, like if you don't have talent, you're not going to win a game.
Well, and it can really quick. It can really quick change. Like next year, Ohio State, they could in the same
I'm not excited about our schedule next year.
You could end up playing USC, Indiana, Penn State, Michigan. You could end up playing like every juggernaut that the Big Ten has.
Yeah, it's looking rough for Ohio State in 26. We're looking at Texas, Michigan, Oregon, Indiana, Iowa, Nebraska, USC. Those are our opponents next season. So, But at the same time, Jeremiah Smith's going to be back. Julian Sain's going to be back. Matt Patricia will probably still be the defensive coordinator. So, like, I'm not worried. Like, it's Ohio State. Like, I'm never worried. Like, the most games we'll lose is maybe 2. We'll still make it in the college football playoff. We'll still win, a game or 2 in the college football playoff. It's just that's kind of how it runs. And then in 27, Alabama hops onto our schedule.
So, yeah, welcome to it's our 2 schools kind of started this dumb thing, by the way.
Yeah, playing each other. Why did we make that decision? It is nice though, but at the same time, like now I think with the college football playoff being 12 teams, you don't need these games anymore because you're going to get them in December. Like the Ohio State Tennessee was a game that never was going to happen ever, but it happened in December, and it was electric.
Yeah, when I was looking at, when OU, it's probably been 4 or 5 years ago, announced like all the out of conference games, and they're like home and home with Georgia. And then the second we announced going to the SEC, all I could think of is, cool, we lose this stupid week 2 Georgia game. Why we need this, I don't know.
Yep.
All right. Iowa, USC. This one today could be a blast.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to watch USC's run game against Iowa's defense, which is just a weird thing to say. But if I'm being honest, like I am really excited about. I really like that King Miller kid.
Yes.
At USC, he is so fun to watch. If you haven't watched, because USC, they play there. I know they're in the Big Ten, but they still play weird time games. Like it's 9:00 and they're kicking off. Like last night, the Oregon game got over at like 11:30 p.m. Central Time. It's like, what are we doing? This is a Big Ten game. These are supposed to happen at 11 a.m. But USC, like if you turn on a USC game and you watch Jade Mayava and King Miller like move that offense down the field, it is really cool. It's really cool.
And Iowa can score points this year. Like they can actually put up offense. They put up 37 on Wisconsin. They put up 38 against Rutgers, 47 against UMass. Now, I know like some of these aren't like barn burner things.
Yeah, but we're talking Iowa scoring 40 plus though. Like,
yeah, I mean, there was a time where they scored 28. You were like, who did they play? Like, Kent State? Were they playing App State? Who were they playing? And they're a weird team. Like they barely beat Penn State. They lose to Oregon by 2.
Lose to Indiana by 5.
They beat Iowa 41-3, or beat Minnesota 41-3, and you think, well, Minnesota's terrible, and then Minnesota goes to Nebraska and beats Nebraska. So Iowa's a really solid football team, but USC, man, the offense, man, I know last year was not great for USC. They were really just not, they just felt like they weren't able to click offensively like the way that they want. But, they've put up a ton of points this season. Now they've lost some games that still kind of I scratch my head at that I can't figure out. They only put up 21 against Nebraska, which, that it is what it is, but they put up 31 on Michigan. Then the week before that, they lose by 2 to Illinois. So both these teams are kind of in similar spots. They don't play similar football at all.
No.
But they both have won some games by a lot that I didn't expect, and then they lost some games that just don't make any sense. I mean, I think Notre Dame probably, they beat Notre Dame beats USC by 10.
A 10-point loss at Notre Dame, like, not bad.
No.
That Illinois loss, like, at the time, Illinois was playing really, really good football early on in the season. But the further removed from that game we've gotten, the less that game has looked good. That loss has looked, the worse that loss has looked. So, but yeah, I think USC could probably go out and beat 80% of the top 12 right now if they wanted to. I really do believe that because their offense is so like high powered. It finally looks like a Lincoln Riley coach team. I've been waiting for USC to look that. They didn't look that way when Caleb Williams was there, but they finally look like, oh yeah, this is exactly how Lincoln Riley coach teams always look. You know, and like Mekhi Lemon, probably number 3 wide receiver 3 in the country right now. Like if you just looked at pure talent and like ball skills, run after catch, I would probably put him up there behind Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams. Like I would probably put Mekhi Lemon right there after those two.
And he's a yak yard like dog.
Yeah. He's awesome. He catches everything too. Like there's not many balls that touch the ground when they're in his area.
You know, he'll turn a 5-yard bubble screen into a 15-yard gain just quick. And that's a great thing to have. And Lincoln Riley's always had that. Like they've always had a guy that if you could get him the ball on the move in space, whether it was CeeDee Lamb or Keith Brown, like that they could get, you know, so it's very, you know, good for what they're doing. USC the rest of the season, they got obviously they're playing Iowa today at 2:30. Then they've got Oregon and UCLA. One of the tougher Big Ten schedules to round out your season. You played you've had Illinois, you've had Michigan, you've had Notre Dame, you've had Nebraska. I mean, you're getting
they played
Iowa.
A tougher schedule than Ohio State and Indiana both.
And I know that, you know, the Big Ten or the College Football Playoff Committee keeps changing their mind on if strength of schedule matters at all. But if I'm looking at USC, if they're able to win out the rest of their season, and I look at their schedule, I go, man, pretty battle-tested Big Ten team. Like, Truly. And they don't, you know, they play the away games they got to play. I always feel bad for them in Oregon when I'm like, there ain't no way.
Yeah, those West Coast teams having to travel to, I mean, they were at Purdue, at Illinois, at Notre Dame. Like, that's 3 time zones. That's a long trip.
Yeah. So that could be really interesting for them. Iowa, rest of their schedule. Let me look at that. Michigan and Nebraska, or Michigan State and Nebraska, should be 2 wins right there. So both of those teams are going to be really interesting. And I don't, if Iowa wins today, wins out their schedule, they're not a team I would want to, if they sneak into a college football playoff, I would not want to play them.
Yeah, because we talked about it. Defense and run game. That's the postseason. And then Gronowski, been there, done that in the postseason. Like, the kid's a winner. I'm not saying he's a good quarterback by any stretch of the word, but he knows what it takes to win football games, you know, which it is probably the most important quality for a quarterback to have.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And yeah, you're right about the defense. Like, they can beat you up, which is, you know, wears you down. Now, this game here, from a college football brand perspective, this is a unbelievable matchup to be getting all the way in week 12.
Huge.
It's huge. Unbelievable. I think unless all of a sudden like intravenously they do some sort of like talent transfer and he wakes up and Arch Manning looks like one of his uncles, this game could get out of hand by the end of the first half.
I mean, Arch has looked the part the last 2 weeks, you know, and I know it was Mississippi State and Vanderbilt, but at Mississippi State, he went 29 for 46 for 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And then against Vanderbilt last week, 25 of 33 for 328 yards and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. So like the last 2 weeks, we've gotten a glimpse of the Arch Manning that we thought we were going to be getting all season long. The only question is can he do it? Can he continue that against a Kirby Smart coached Georgia Bulldogs team? I doubt it, but I've seen crazier things happen.
And, you know, Georgia's offense isn't nuts. Like, it's not crazy.
No. Gunnar Stockton leaves a lot to be desired.
but he does play. Gunnar Stockton plays a lot off of momentum.
Yeah.
Like if he can get in rhythm and he can get some momentum, and Georgia's defense is very good at creating momentum for their offense, getting you 3 and outs quick, turning you over. That's what Georgia's defense is built to do. And where Arch has struggled is when a team could turn him over, feel like they're, punching the wall type of thing, drive after drive. So that could be really, really interesting. And we're going to break down our picks for those games. Before we do that, big shout out to Better. If you haven't yet, download the Better app. First real micro play app. Instead of waiting on the game, you can lock in a play on every drive, every pitch, every moment. Super simple, no messy menus. Just swipe, make your pick, and you're in. Download Better right now. Use code WASH for a special promo. In fact, I think they're running promos on top of this one. So use code WASH when you download the Better app. Don't live it, play it, better it.
Better
Better it. All right, we're going to do our picks for these games. Let's see here. Notre Dame at number 22, Pitt.
Is that the 11 o'clock game? Yeah, it is.
11 a.m. kickoff, and this place will be rocking.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Pitt, their home atmosphere is incredibly underrated. I don't think people realize how much that fan base cares. I think they have.
It's basically Steelers fans.
Yeah, with a better jersey.
Yeah, like it's. I mean, there's not a lot to do in that area. What do they call? They call it the Rust Belt. Yeah. Not a lot to do there. You go to work, you get some sort of lung disease from breathing in the fumes from whatever factory you're working in, and you sit down on Saturdays and Sundays and you watch football. So, yeah, that's going to be a really cool environment, especially when you have a top 10 team coming to town.
Yeah, and if Pitt can somehow get this upset today, they probably, now that a lot of it depends on what Georgia Tech and Virginia do for the rest of their schedule, but you'd have a hard time saying Pitt isn't the favorites if you lined them up against anybody on a neutral field for the ACC title. If you're able to win this one. On the other side of it, though, Notre Dame has the best running back in college football. I think the coaching matchup, they win for sure. And, Notre Dame has played a really good schedule this year. It's not – they're kind of a little bit like some other teams where it's not their fault that, like, Arkansas ends up, crashing and burning this year and not – being who you thought that they would be. They lose a close one to A&M, which looks like a great loss now. That was all the way back in September. That loss looks unbelievable now that you lost by 1 to what could be the best team in the SEC. So Notre Dame, if they're able to pull this one out today, this is probably their college football playoff guarantee. If they lose this one today, they are probably out. That being said, I'm picking the upset today. I got Pitt beat Notre Dame at home.
Wow.
Because I want all the college football playoff craziness that I can get.
That is I'm shocked by that. I think Notre Dame is a 12.5 point favorite.
They are 12.5.
Yeah, I think with the way that Jeremiah Love's been running the football, I think he knows every year that ends in 5 running backs win the Heisman Trophy award. So he's a shoe-in right now. So he's going to go out and play, the kind of football that he can play. CJ Carr has been playing really well for Notre Dame at the quarterback position this season. I think offensively they started a little slow for weeks 1 and 2, which is kind of where all the questions came in.
Like we were all questioning the play calling at the beginning of the year. We were like, what are you doing?
Just hand the ball to your running. Like, why is he not touching the ball 35 times a game? Yeah, and I think that they've figured that out over the season. They're like, oh wait, we have one of the best football players in America at running back. Let's just give him the football and let him eat. So I anticipate this is going to be a big Jeremiah Love game. You know, he might go for 170, 3 scores. And that's kind of what I'm expecting out of Notre Dame in this one. So I'm going to take Notre Dame. I'm actually going to take Notre Dame by 14, 20 points. I think Notre Dame wins this one, wins it easily.
All right. Second game of the day, huge playoff. Hold on. I went out of order here. Iowa USC. It does have huge playoff implications for sure.
Damn.
This one at the Coliseum. I would assume, good Lord, USC fans, I know you got a lot of things to do. I get that there are like 9 pro teams in your market and beautiful weather and everything. I really hope they show up for this game. Is this one early though?
No, this is 12:30 their time.
Okay, good. Perfect for you.
Yeah,
you can
afternoon
go to
game.
Yeah. So this is a good game for USC fans. I had some trouble last night. Was breaking this one down, who to take. Normally, when you say, "Hey, one team has got to get their offense to start really, really fast," I believe defense travels. I have never watched since. It sounds terrible. I have never seen the Coliseum be the Pete Carroll Coliseum.
No.
As far as a home atmosphere goes. USC fans are kind of like in and out of it. It feels like they show up kind of like, what are you going to do for us type of attitude, and instead of like, we're here to make this hard on the visiting team. That being said, though, I am taking USC in this one. I think it'll be a lot closer. I think USC is going to have to work a lot harder on offense than they are even probably prepared for. But I don't know that Iowa is going to be able to keep up that type of pressure for 4 quarters. And I think late USC is able to pull this one out.
Yeah, I agree with you. USC is a 6.5 point favorite at home, which is kind of crazy, but I think that's a testament to how good Iowa's defense is. I mean, they were in that game last week against Oregon the entire game. And that was, I mean, granted, it was perfect environment for Iowa to pull off the upset against the high-powered offense. You know, it was cold, it was rainy, it was windy, it was snowy. You know, exactly what Iowa wants in a football game. You're not getting that kind of weather in Southern California, even in November. Like, that weather just doesn't change. It's going to be sunny. It's going to be 75. And USC's offense is going to be able to do whatever they want to do. You know, we just got done talking about how much I like Jaden Mayava and King Miller and Makai Lemon. So I think USC probably wins this one by 1.5 scores. I do think that they'll cover, but I think Iowa will make it close for 3 quarters. But I just don't think. I think USC's defense can go out and mitigate the explosive plays, because that's really what Iowa relies on. You know, it's 2 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, punt. Next drive, 2 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, punt. Next drive, 3 yards, 2 yards, 27 yards. They're in field goal range. Field goal. You know, that's kind of how Iowa plays football. So if USC can mitigate those, you know, explosive plays, which are plays of 20 plus yards, you know, I think USC is going to handle business really well. Get in, get out. And get ready for the rest of their schedule. So give me the Trojans this one as well.
Number 11, Alabama going on the road at Alabama, Tuscaloosa. Home atmosphere at Tuscaloosa also kind of one of those. It just depends. Sometimes Alabama fans show up like it's just a business meeting, and they're there to watch someone do their job. I always laugh whenever Alabama's ranked in like top 10 biggest home atmospheres. I'm like, this is clearly done by people who don't watch college football, because like in the Saban years, like I remember Nick having to like chew fans out. Like, I know we're beating this team by 30 in the 3rd quarter, but can you guys please stop leaving?
Yeah, quit leaving.
But Oklahoma's got to do a lot right today, and the biggest thing on their scouting report, I can guarantee you, is get after Ty Simpson often and early.
Yeah.
And confuse the living heck out of him. And then at halftime, we're going to switch up all the blitz packages and we're going to run a completely different set at him in the second half. If they're able to do that and keep this thing close, John Mateer is just a football winning guy.
He's a gamer.
Yeah, don't look good late in the game. It's not going great, and then
like Bo Nix, baby.
Yeah, he's got that Bo Nix Baker Mayfield thing where even Jane Daniels last year with Washington, that some guys just have like a knack for whatever that extra gear is that they can turn on when the clock says 5 minutes left and they can win you a football game. If Oklahoma is able to keep this thing close going into the fourth quarter, and it's clear that Alabama's having to work really hard on offense to get any type of production, John Mateer may end up being the X factor here. I'm picking a little bit with my heart here. Also, I'm also cheering for all the college football playoff craziness that I can make happen over the next 4 weeks. So I'm picking Oklahoma by a field goal.
Boomer. I love it. I would love if that happened. I really would. I like John Mateer. I've liked what OU has, done this season. They did something that Ohio State hasn't been able to do for the last 4 years. They beat Michigan. So, I don't know. I think Alabama is so talented. They look so good right now. They are such a well-polished machine right now. It's hard to pick against them. But, if OU can go out and take the ball out of Ty Simpson's hands, like force them to run it and then tackle the run, I think OU can be in a good spot to win this football game. But do I think that that's going to happen? I don't know. I think it's going to be close. I think Oklahoma could cover, but I'm going to go with the Crimson Tide here on this one.
Round out the day, 6:30 kick. Longhorns go to the Dogs. Number 10 Texas at number 5 Georgia. We talked about it earlier. Texas, as far as offense goes, has trended upwards. Arch Manning, after 2 seasons and 11 weeks in the program, finally looks like a college football Division I quarterback. So that's encouraging.
Better late than never.
Golly. I just don't see how. I think if Arch Manning plays well at Georgia, and that's a big if, then I think this game says more about the Arch Manning that Texas will get next year and how many of their players are going to stay around.
Yeah.
If he's able
That's actually a good way to look at it.
Yeah, if he's able to weather the storm of your play in Georgia, and I don't care what anybody says, but there are certain brands when they run out of the tunnel and you see that logo on the helmet for the first time that you like.
Better tighten your chin strap a little extra.
You're like, oh no. And Georgia's been that. They've got a couple national championships under their belt the last 10 years. They have been a perennial powerhouse in the SEC. They have the best coach in the entire conference. And despite all of the off the field weird stuff and the jokes we make about speeding tickets and all that, when season rolls around, Georgia has still been Georgia.
Yep.
And I think Kirby Smart, is a lot better coach than I think he's the best coach in the SEC, but I think he's the most underrated coach in college football.
Yeah, he might be one of the best coaches in all of college football.
And he's not, he's not a loud guy. He's not a look at me guy. He's not like trying to get sound bites.
Those quick post game pressers right on the field, they really edge on being right there at what you're talking about. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, come on, Kirby. You're at Mississippi State. This is not a hard place to play. Quit lying to us.
Well, I think part of that is he looks around the SEC conference and he's like, look at all these Nimrods we got coaching that say the most outlandish things. And here I am. I'm just over here. I just win national championships and SEC titles.
Yeah.
And no one's talking about me, but we're talking about Lane Kiffin every 5 seconds.
Yep.
So I'm picking Georgia in this one. I just think their defense is going to overwhelm Arch. I don't think their offense is going to have to score a ton. I think Texas's defense is really good. I think they have one of the best defenses in the country. But it's your ass. If this starts turning into 3 and out, 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 at some point that's going to wear your defense out. Like they're going to be on the field a lot. And it's not going to require Gunnar Stockton to do a whole bunch other than get them in field goal range a few drives late. So I'm picking Georgia in this one.
Yeah, no, I think what you said about Arch, at the beginning of that was a really good way to look at the remainder of the season. Because Texas has Georgia this week. They've got Arkansas next week, and then they finish the season with Texas A&M. Those are 3 games that there's a very high likelihood that they could lose all 3 of them. But how does Arch go out and play in these games? How does Arch go out and lead the team? How does Steve Sarkisian coach this team over the next 3 weeks? I think that's going to determine a lot for the future of the Longhorns, specifically like the near future next season. Because we've got that video about Arch Manning that came out this week. We think he should stay. He doesn't need to go pro. I don't think he can go pro. If he does go pro, he's going to end up on the end of the bench somewhere in Cleveland or Tennessee or something. It's going to be bad.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be better for him to stay. And if he stays and he looks good at the last stretch of the season and into the bowl game, how does he perform in the bowl game? How many of these guys come back? What kind of guys can they land in the transfer portal? That's going to matter a lot for Texas next season and, the future of Sark there in Austin. So I think they come out and play well today. But I think, like you said, I think good defenses give Arch Manning a really tough time. I think Arch didn't look good against OU, contrary to what our comment section would have you believe. I don't think Arch was the reason that the Longhorns won that game. In the last couple of drives, he was really solid, really consistent, really firm. Made the plays that he needed to make. But he wasn't the guy who went out and beat OU. And then we saw what Ohio State's defense did to him week 1. And I think Georgia is kind of in that same vein. They're gonna make him. He's gonna have some problems against that Georgia Bulldogs defense. So yeah, give me the Georgia Bulldogs in this one as well. Shout out Uga.
All right, so there's our picks. Other games today. We're gonna probably end the show a little early today, but other games today that have got some national implications. This doesn't sound like it has any national implications, but Georgia's playing Duke today at 2:30. They're ranked at 19, top 5 in their conference. Duke has played incredibly well in ACC play, so that one's really interesting on how that's going to shake out. Ole Miss has got to play Florida today. Brandon Walker from Barstool made a joke that at halftime Lane Kiffin was going to walk across the 50-yard line and go put on his Florida pullover. I don't think they'll have any problems necessarily there, but I don't
know. Florida's defense is legit,
very good, and they don't have. They're playing for nothing. They got no pressure. You're 3-6.
Just good old fashioned Southern hatred is what they're playing for right now.
They're not worried. Utah Baylor, another team that's on that college football playoff bubble.
You know what game I'm really excited for? South Florida at Navy.
Hey, Navy's a pretty good football team this year. They're not terrible.
Navy is a pretty good football team this year, and so is South Florida. Byron Brown, I think, should be getting Heisman consideration. He is so fun to watch. And there is a chance, depending on what happens in the ACC, USF might be in the college football playoff this year. So some teams might want to start paying attention to this team that beat Boise State early on, beat Florida early on, and has just been playing solid football ever since.
And, Navy home atmosphere, I would say Army is the same way. There's just something like cool and fun about like when you try it out there and there's just a bunch of guys in uniform.
Yeah, just a bunch of sailors.
Yeah, this is you talk about when you talk about like, oh, students, this is the highlight of their week. At service schools, this really is the highlight of their week.
Nothing. they're at ease the entire Saturday. Like they get to have so much fun on that. Yeah, no, for sure. That's gonna be a fun game.
It is definitely going to be a fun game.
Did you see Nico Iamaleava? This news broke really late last night. He's out with a concussion this game.
Oh no!
Against Ohio State. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but when he played, because he was at Tennessee last year, when he came to Ohio State last season to play in the first round of the college football playoff, Ohio State broke not one, but two of his helmets. So this is the first ever preemptive concussion I've ever seen in college football. Probably made a good business decision, Nico. Shout out to you. But I thought that was just a really interesting thing. I'm like, did he have a concussion before 10 p.m. last night? I have no idea. So shout out UCLA.
There could be some backdoor conversations with whoever the coach is. They're looking at UCLA who went, hey, I really like Nico. He's not playing this game.
Yeah, he got hit enough by this team last season. We're not letting it happen this game because we're going to throw a bag at him and we're going to try to get him. You can keep his little brother. We're going to take him and we're going to try to go win some games next season.
A game that matters none for college football playoff implications, but it is going to be one of the most fun spectacles that happens. Michigan is playing at Northwestern. That is at Wrigley Field. I want to give a special shout out to Joe Klatt. Did you see the video of all the Fox Big Noon kickoff guys taking BP?
No, Joe Klatt. I mean, he was a quarterback at Colorado.
Well, and he was a legit.
Was he a baseball player too?
In baseball.
Good for him, man.
And he looks jacked, and he's at like the first. Like you need to watch the video. Like I was like, shout out Joe Klatt, just out there.
I need to go watch that.
But that's a fun. That game means nothing to Michigan or like Northwestern. It means nothing. But it's cool.
I don't know if that's entirely the case. Northwestern, they're winning. They're a win away from bowl eligibility.
That's true.
It's at Wrigley Field. You're playing a team that's fighting for a spot in the college football playoffs, so you can play spoiler. Northwestern plays some pretty decent defense. I don't know.
They've had some good, they got beat by Michigan pretty soundly last year, but they've had some, close wins or close losses. They've had some decent wins. They beat Penn State, which, is
everybody does that this year.
James Franklin fired. They lost to Nebraska by a touchdown. I mean, they're not a good football team, but they're a scrappy football team. That home atmosphere will be really, really fun for them.
No, I'm just kidding. I think Michigan handles this game easily. It's probably this game will probably be the best Bryce Underwood has looked all season long.
Oh yeah, 100%. Other than that, there's not really a ton. UCF plays Tech today. Texas Tech. I think that anybody Texas Tech plays the rest of their year, I think it's just how many points does Texas Tech want to score before they sit starters, because I don't see it mattering. The late game today, though, if you're a college football nut, pay attention to this one. TCU at BYU. That's a 9:15 Central kick. TCU is 6-3, but TCU is a good 6-3 football team.
Yeah, Josh Hoover is the truth.
Yeah.
Shout out our guy Trevon Boykin. He gave a glowing approval of Josh Hoover down there at TCU. So shout out the Horned Frogs. What's the thing they do? Just this, right?
Something like that. I can't remember. Somebody's a bear. I don't know. Yeah, TCU's lost some games that they definitely shouldn't have lost. They've put up a ton of points when they needed to. And they're going to need to put up some points today because BYU, they're going to grind you out. They can run the football. And that's going to be a really fun game. So that is the super late game today with some college football playoff implications. The Big 12, by the end of the next weekend, the Big 12 could either have 3 teams in the college football playoff or none.
Yeah.
And it's going to suck because there are going to be some really, really good 3-loss Big 12 teams that I'm going to be looking at them and going, man, if you'd have just won more, you guys could make a run. Like, it's a competitive conference, but man,
Does this start the would that start the conversation of a what's the second tournament that they have in college basketball? The NIT?
Yeah, there's been people that talked about this.
Maybe we have like a consolation bracket to fix some of the. I mean, the postseason has been weird since the transfer portal started.
Yeah,
it's just like players have sat games. Like Missouri beat Ohio State 2 years ago in a bowl game, and it was like I don't even remember who our quarterback was in that game. Like we had so many defensive guys sitting out. So many players that were not going to be playing again the following season. Just sitting out. It was weird. And I think that's bad for college football when these players do that. So if there was some sort of like consolation bracket that they could maybe have, 8 teams. I'm not saying do another 12-team playoff, but maybe do like an 8-team playoff or a 6-team. Give the 13 and 14 ranked teams or whatever, first round bye, and then make the other 4 play each other. Do something like that. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, especially there's a NFL teams. I've talked to guys from the college coaching ranks that have said, hey, when we talk to NFL scouts, they watch a lot more bowl games than people think. And when a kid gets out, that they're going to get asked about that in their draft meetings.
Yeah.
About why'd you sit out? So, it could be a lot of fun today. There are some absolutely terrible games today, which this is my hugest complaint with the SEC. Why is Tennessee playing New Mexico State in the middle of November? Like, what are we doing?
Man, I'm telling you, the next week
is the worst culprit of all of it.
Is for the SEC specifically.
Yes.
Week 13, we're looking at, your top 3 teams in the SEC: Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M. Next week, Texas A&M, Samford, not Stanford, Samford. Yeah. And then Georgia's got Charlotte, and then Bama is hosting Eastern Illinois. Those are all happening next week. Week 13, the week before Thanksgiving, these teams are playing these other schools. It's just, what are we doing?
The only thing I will say is Samford, Charlotte, and Eastern Illinois athletic departments getting some big checks cut.
They're getting paid for sure. So why not go in and win a game? Appalachian State's done it before.
Yeah.
Shout out App State. But yeah, geez.
Next week, quick forecast on a couple of games next week that we'll probably be talking about on the show. USC, Oregon, that's going to be a barn burner.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that game. Classic Big Ten matchup, USC, Oregon.
That feels so weird. That game will be wild. BYU, Cincinnati, it's going to be a big time Big 12 game next week with some fun conference implications. Kentucky, Vanderbilt, that game is always fun. Vanderbilt playing for everything, Kentucky playing for nothing. But
Arkansas, Texas.
And that's the other game next
old
week.
School Southwest Conference rivalry game. I'm actually really excited about that one.
Yeah, that thing is going to be interesting.
Especially depending on what Texas does today.
Yeah, if Texas goes out and loses today, and Arkansas is looking at the rest of their season, and you've got a coach, an interim coach trying to get that job, I will give Arkansas this. The fact that they have held the line and not announced that Bobby Petrino is the coach shows me that they are trying to get this head coaching hire right.
They're taking it seriously, which is a first since probably since the first time they hired Bobby Petrino. The first time they've taken a head coach search seriously.
Yeah, and if for any reason they could, I don't know if you could get a James Franklin to an Arkansas, but there's some other guys in the Tulane. I mean, there's some guys coaching right now that if I'm Arkansas, you got a chance to really do something special, because if you could keep your quarterback, which I think you can, if you make the right hire, you've been able to recruit wide receivers and skill positions there. I mean, you guys have got one in Denver right now that, you know, is good.
Yeah. They actually I was talking with my dad about this last night. By the way, shout out Gravette High School Lions. First round of the high school football playoffs here in the state of Arkansas, won 64-14 last night. I have never seen in all of my years watching Gravette High School play playoff football, some of those years I was playing the games, never have I seen a game go into the mercy rule in the second half in the playoffs. But yeah, state of Arkansas has a running back that has rushed for like 2,300 yards and 40-something touchdowns this season. Arkansas managed to keep him in state, and he is committed to the Hogs, even in the midst of not having a head coach. So, I mean, if the Razorbacks are able to do something like that, keep that kind of talent in the state, because there is really great talent that comes through the state of Arkansas, you know.
Yeah.
If they can keep it in state, you know, and if they get the next head coach that's going to be, you know, a really good head coach like an Alex Golish out of USF, if they can poach him, I think that would be awesome. But I think they are taking the head coach hiring pretty seriously.
And you know what's great for the Hogs is when you get a kid that commits like that, when you're not sure on the coaching hire, it means it's a kid that's probably his entire life dreamed.
He's been a Razorbacks fan. Yeah, even living down in Southeast Arkansas, he still loves the Hogs, which is really cool.
Yeah, and that goes a long way, I think, for a new college football coach. When that's going to be the centerpiece of your new class, and this kid wants to be here, and that's a big deal. Talking coaching carousel real quick, we got a couple of minutes here. I do not know the John Gruden thing just will not die. I
don't know. He's probably making more money off YouTube and at Barstool than he'd be making as a head coach, right?
I would think so, but they're trying to stick him at every, you know, opening that there is now. Now, you know, they're obviously the Giants open up. They're wanting to, he should go up to New York.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't think it's a good deal. The LSU thing, though, was the other thing. I reached out to our boys, Tingle & Co., and said, have you guys done a video about this craziness with Brian Kelly? Because it doesn't make any sense to me. Luckily, Noah, shout out, thank you, Noah, sent me a link. Yeah, this thing with Brian Kelly is the weirdest thing ever.
He's like technically not been fully relieved of his duties, right?
Technically, because they fired the AD, and the AD's the one that fired him. They're saying the AD didn't have the authority to do that. So legally,
he's still the head coach of LSU. That is weird.
Yeah. And, you know, of course, none of this came up until they were, you know, his lawyer, and he rejected 2 buyout offers. You know, he wants the full $56 million. LSU doesn't want to pay the full $56 million. So then, you know, I don't know how, but apparently a bunch of lawyers got together and went, you know, technically he isn't fired because the guy that fired him didn't have the authority to make the call or whatever. And then you got the governor of the state involved in it.
Yeah. The whole thing has just been bizarre. But I mean, how else would you want it to be for LSU football?
This is so on brand. If you're Kiffin, I'm looking at it going,
I wouldn't touch that with a 39.5-foot pole if I was Lane Kiffin.
This went from the best job in the country to what in the world's going on in Baton Rouge?
How many people would I have to answer to if I became the head coach of Louisiana State University? Like, pass.
No. And then I haven't heard anything solid about Florida. I think Florida really thinks they can get Kiffin. I think that they really are all in on it.
Even.
And then the last thing on the coaching carousel, hey, betting companies, quit taking bets on that Nick Saban is going to LSU. The fact that he is the favorite for that job on everything I see is just hilarious.
They got to get funded somehow. Can't have everybody winning every bet.
I mean, I saw like 4-1. I was like, what are we doing? If
that's the case, Arkansas needs to pick up the dang phone and say, hey, Nick, here's an empty check. How much do you need? We've got Walmart money. We've got Tyson Chicken money. Let's get you in Fayetteville.
And I shout out to Neil McCready from McCready and Siskey, he made the case that if you are a big-time college football coach like you're, what's his name out of Tulane, if you want to get into the SECs, the two best jobs that he would take are Arkansas and Kentucky. With no expectation.
Yeah. You can just go quietly build something.
Yeah. But you go to LSU or Florida, man, you got 3 years and you better look like a college football playoff contender, and it better happen immediately.
Very good point.
Now, LSU's got one of the best running backs in the entire country. It's committed there. They've got a running back a freshman this year that's unbelievable, that they have played in spurts. He's not been the primary ball carrier all year. But, the amount of jobs that are open, I think there's going to be more jobs that come open. But, yeah, if you're Virginia Tech, just lock Franklin up. Like, you go ahead and make this announcement. He doesn't have to coach the rest of the season. It's fine. Like, you're not worse for wears.
Yeah.
But, I did see he was out at some game the other night for one of his buddies coaching college or whatever, and just getting razzed by fans. Like, poor guy can't even go support a guy that coached under him in a big time football game for him. You gotta feel bad. Poor guy. But yeah, next week on the show, we'll obviously be talking the results of a lot of these games that are playing today. College football playoff rankings will look very different, I'm assuming, by Tuesday. So that could be a really interesting thing. And we're going to be able to start already talking who's playing in what bowl games, which is fun. We're already there. We're already going to be able to start forecasting matchups for college football playoff.
Yeah. Shout out Pop-Tarts Bowl. Well, what's going to happen in that one? Water Boys need to get to the Pop-Tarts Bowl at some point in the next 3 years.
I mean, everybody made fun of it that they respond, and then the first year you're like, this is the most electric bowl game ever.
It was the best one that I've seen in years.
I mean, they killed a Pop-Tart on the 15-yard line. They stuck a Pop-Tart in the toaster, and then everyone went and ate it. I mean, it was the wildest thing I've ever seen. So, that one's going to be very interesting. I do want to say the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, that might be one of the worst names for the Verbo.
Tostitos really fumbled the bag on that one.
You couldn't have gotten Old El Paso or some other American white people Mexican food brand to sponsor it.
Like a salsa brand or something.
Yeah, it's so dumb. All right, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Stay tuned if you're watching on YouTube. If we get everything worked out, may have something very interesting happening on the YouTube channel today. So stay tuned.
Good luck with that. Jeez.
Yeah. I'm really hoping I check the Discord that I've got a little more information than what I currently am operating with. All right. Enjoy the rest of your college football Saturday, everybody.
Go Bucks. God bless Bo Nix.